Hello, 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 party people. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we are going to be discussing robotic affirming, faith, and righteous thinking. So, let's start with robotic affirming, because that's a very hot topic. So, when you look at what we're trying to do, right, the goal of all of these processes is to, number one, shape your internal state. And why do we focus so much on the internal state? We focus on the internal state because the internal state is what is reflected on the screen of space, right? So you have different levels of being. If you were to break your being apart, kind of like a Lego, right? You just take all the pieces apart. What you have at your base level of beingness is your I am awareness, and that's unconditioned God consciousness. So if you reference the story of Isaac, Esau, and Jacob in the Old Testament, Isaac is that awareness, right? It's all potential, all knowing, all being, all at the same time. It's very similar. It is if you meditate and clear your mind of all thoughts and you just sit there and know that you exist. That is your Isaac I am consciousness, okay? When you go into the next level of that, right? So if you close your eyes and then you put on the screen of your mind, which is the black canvas, a red bicycle, that is your imagination. That is your Jacob fourth dimensional Christ awareness. That is your mind. That is your subtle dimension of reality within the greater dimension of the I amness. So the second that you focus your I amness from everything to a focus point, you are now conditioning your consciousness, meaning that you go from unconditional, I'm aware of everything, I'm pure awareness, to I am aware of this red bicycle. I am Jacob Edens. I am a chef. I am a, athlete. I am, and you condition that consciousness into what you want it to be. Now, with enough persistence, that conditioning will become your Esau, which is your third dimensional reality, your John the Baptist reality. That means that it is physicalized. And in the Bible, the Esau character and the John the Baptist character are always categorized as being hairy, meaning that the hair is the tactile, feelable, extra five sensory perceivable world that exists outside of your mind and your I am awareness. So what we want to do is we want to understand that template and use it in a reverse order from what most people do. So most people are only aware of the Esau reality, of the John the Baptist reality. They see something physical and they react to it, and then they charge the reaction with emotion, and they loop themselves into a perpetual cycle of basically addiction to that emotion because of the unconsciousness that their thoughts, their emotions, their I amness is what is creating the reality, right? So if you look at the allegory of the cave by Plato, and you look at the picture, right? If you haven't seen the allegory of the cave, look it up. It's a very simple picture. It's a cave with three men sitting looking at a projection. There's a projection behind them. And then behind the projection, there's a tunnel that leads, and then there's like a free expanse up top. But they're so focused on the projection that they don't know that they can walk out of the movie at any time, right? Because they're so engrossed in the movie. So when you're only focused on the Esau or the John the Baptist consciousness, your third dimensional world, you're in that movie theater, right? And there's nothing wrong with watching a movie. We came here to watch a movie. We came here to play a game. It's great. But for controlling the movie, it's not the optimal positioning that you want to be. So when you look at what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the projector versus the projection, right? Everything is coming out of you as a projection. It's not that you are trying to change the world of effects. You're trying to change the cause of the effects. So when we start to work from that paradigm of changing the cause of the effects, we're looking at changing our state. And what is our state? Our state is a mood, a chronic attitude, a cloud of basically known beingness that we wear like clothes, right? So if we think of, if you're playing a video game and you're creating a character, what you want to do is you want to figure out what that character is, and then you want to dress that character in the right thought patterns, the right emotional patterns, and the right patterns of awareness. So When we change the I amness, that is working at the root. And when we talk about robotic affirming, what happens is a lot of times when you go to robotic affirming, it's because you have some type of disciplinary understudy of the Abraham Hicks methodology where you're like, I need to manipulate my emotions, but you feel like trash all the time, or I need to do this process, but it doesn't work. And you're just like, fuck it. Robotic affirming is easy. I'm just going to do it, right? And you get results, but they may be inconsistent. The reason, in my perspective, is because everything that we do starts at the I am identity level, right? So when you look at the I am identity level, that's the biggest version of consciousness. And that's when people say, I am source, I am this big I am reality, right? They're identifying with that big Isaac reality. When that Isaac reality chooses to focus, based on how it's conditioned, it will affect the results of that focus. So if you identify as a winner chronically, and when I say identify, it's not a fly-by-night thought or feeling. When I hear the name Jacob, I respond with my entire physiological and mental being to come to attention to see who said that name. That is how heavily I am identified with that name. If someone goes, hey, Kevin, what is the weather like today? My beingness doesn't respond to that because it's not identified with it. So when you think about identity, it is a physiological merging with a identity, right? You're merged, your I am awareness is completely merged one with what you are identifying as, right? So really think about that. If your name is Sarah and somebody says, hey, Becca, your body does not accept it as you. It doesn't accept it as you. So when you look at programming the subconscious mind, you can tell a successful program that has been embedded in you by your inability to not accept it. Basically, like if somebody says, hey, your name's John, I'm like, no, dude, it's Jacob. That's how ingrained in my being that belief, thought that has been repeated over and over and over again, charged with emotion and identity, pattern of beingness are ingrained in me. So when we use robotic affirming, the premise should always be, in my perspective, to change the identity. So I am this. If you're going to robotically affirm all day, don't put your power on a less leveraged topic like my SP loves me, my SP loves me, I'm money's blah, blah, blah. Always start with your real name, which is I am. No matter who you are or what your name is, every single person starts with I am Jacob, I am John. So start with your real name, which is I am this. Claim that you are the identity that already has this or is a master of, if you're trying to learn a process, right? So when you look at law of assumption or law of attraction, these aren't the end-all, be-all realities behind creation, right? Your I amness is really the reality, but they're super, super freaking useful techniques for creating reality, right? Like being able to think thought, magnetize things that are like it, similar to it, and then externalize that, it's pretty fucking useful. Being able to turn an assumption into a hard and fact, pretty fucking useful. So when you have these laws that you can use, you want to robotically affirm, not for the results of those immediately, because you can, but I would recommend robotically affirming, I am a master of law of assumption. I am a master of law of attraction. I am a master of getting the results that I want consistently. I am the version of me who gets what he or she wants consistently, frequently, and easily. And I would only work on that until my identity is catalyzed in a similar way to my own name. And what happens is as soon as you start to I am, or basically claim those things, you'll have all of the programmings in your subconscious mind, all of the beliefs that are contrary to that come and challenge you. And you look at the Bible and they talk about people getting stoned, right? People throwing stones. That's when you claim a new identity and the world tries to throw all these things at you to say you're not that. So you have to withstand the stoning The only way that you do that is you reorient internally to your robotic affirmation of I am this. And you persist in that until your state of consciousness is changed and fully ingrained and identified with it. Because what happens is when you identify with and ingrain a new form of consciousness, you now have free will to act within that bandwidth of consciousness. If I have the consciousness of chronically winning, now I can go do things and win at them all the time. If I have a consciousness of being healthy, I can go and eat food and hang out and party and do all these things, and I'm still going to be within the bandwidth of being healthy because my conscious being is so heavily identified with that my subconscious mind is playing defense 24/7 to block anything that doesn't resonate with that. So if you have, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if somebody's really in poverty consciousness, they may get a check and they'll be like, I don't deserve this. No. It's I should have earned this, right? Like their subconscious will block the flow of money because of the state that they're in. So you want to build the state because within the state, you have total free will to do as you please. And it only works out when you have the state of consciousness that allows you to operate within its bandwidth. So robotic affirming was a really important one that I wanted to talk about. What else did I have on here? Righteous thinking and faith. So I'll touch on these really quick. Righteous thinking is always thinking from the wish fulfilled. So it takes a process to train your mind to go from unrighteous to righteous. Righteous thinking is essentially not sinning. So when you look at the word sinning is an archery term. So if I have an ideal and my ideal is to be rich, if I'm entertaining thoughts or imaginative acts of not being able to pay my bills, I'm sinning. I'm missing my mark. I'm using that fourth dimensional consciousness to focus in a direction that is not of my ideal objective. So it's not a bad thing. You're not a bad person. It's not that you're born with original sin, even though you are, because you don't know how to use these mechanics. So it's fine, but take all that guilt shit and throw it out the window. It's just missing the mark. So non-judgment, no emotion, you just start to hit the mark. That's what righteous thinking is. I want this. Cool. Imaginal act of me having it. Cool. I'm the person who has that now. Affirmation, robotic affirmation. I am the person who has this now. I'm the person who got that easily. That was really easy for me to get. I am so happy and grateful now that I have that. I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it. I want it, I got it. Instead of, man, I want this truck. Oh, I can't afford it. Sin, missed, you fucked up, revise, put it back, right? So when you righteous think, 100% of your thoughts are on target. You're just nailing the thought patterns of having what you desire. 24/7, 365, you're on it, on point, 100% of the time, total shot accuracy, right in the middle of the bullseye. So when you go through the process of robotic affirming, it's really good to teach you how to righteously think because I am is a really easy thought, right? If I'm trying to create an imaginative scene of me and my SP in Cabo, but I can't fucking control my attention for more than 10 seconds, it's not going to work. So when you focus on the I am things, what that does is that gives you a really easy thought that you can lay up over and over and over and over again. And what I would recommend is saying, I am the 2.0 version of myself. And I would write down, I am a master of law of assumption. I am a master of law of attraction. I'm a person who uses these laws to get what they want 100% of the time. That's what being the 2.0 version is of me. And anytime I don't get a favorable result, I just reorient back to the thought, I am the 2.0 version. I am the 2.0 version. I am the 2.0. Why? Shut up, mind. I am this. This is the only thought I'm interested in. And the intention is that you're putting that program deep in your subconscious mind so that once that becomes dominant, anytime something happens where your mind goes to an unwanted, it goes, nope, I'm a master of law of assumption. This is revised exactly the way I want it. I'm the person who has it now. And now you're using the faculties of your mind in a way that is advantageous to you to where they serve you instead of attack you all the time. Now, when we look at faith, faith is just loyalty to an unseen reality, right? So what happens when we're loyal? When you're loyal, you give preference to, right? So if I'm loyal to my best friend and there's a random person and I get the last snow cone in the snow cone line, I'm going to give it to my best friend because I'm loyal to them, right? Like I have enough of a track record with them to where I'm like, nah, they're my best friend. There's going to be more benefit to me to serving this relationship versus this random one, right? And obviously it's circumstantial, but that's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of understanding loyalty. It's really preference. So when you decrease importance and you lower the emotional need to put your desires on a pedestal, you're really choosing and giving preference. So when you see something external that isn't exactly the way you want it, you don't give it preference. You give preference to the fourth dimensional mental image of you having what you want. You don't fight it. You don't judge it. You don't stick yourself to it with negative emotion. You just go, oh, that's cool. That's a byproduct of old thinking. This is who I am. And you focus and play a mental image, or I am an affirmation of you being the version of you that has it. And what that does is that starts to recalibrate your mind to give faith to the unseen reality. And especially once you see the results of focusing that way, to where the third dimensional reality conforms to the fourth dimensional reality, you start to have evidence and proof of the fact that it is actually calibrating itself and controlling aspects of your reality. And now you have the validation that it works, and it's much easier to reorient because now you have understanding of your locus of control. So that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want coaching, click the link tree. Other than that, leave comments, subscribe, and additionally, if you have any videos that you want made, put them in the chat and I'll get to them. I appreciate you guys. Go conquer.